Welcome to America News.
Former Google Ventures CEO Bill Maris, who currently runs a San Diego area VC firm called Section 32, offered some words of warning today during a Wall Street Journal tech conference. It wouldn't surprise me if the sun is setting on the golden age of Silicon Valley. Maris added that he also wouldn't be surprised if federal regulators try breaking up tech giants like Google or Facebook, saying that such companies are more powerful than it ever was. The details: the Amazon is currently experiencing a prolonged drought, lasting up to 4 months in some parts, which is contributing to the spread of the fires. And the dry seasons in Brazil seem to be becoming drier and more frequent, scientist Luiz Aragão told Manga Bay. As of October 5, 208,278 hotspots have been seen in the region using thermal sensing. Fire brigades lack the manpower and resources to control them. Forest degradation has transformed the Amazon from a carbon sink to a carbon source. Meanwhile, the uptick of carbon emissions around the world are contributing to bigger fires globally. The concurrent trends comprise a recipe for more megafires, scientists say. If Brazil is to have a chance at controlling the intensity of fires in the Amazon, it needs all countries, including the US, to successfully reduce carbon emissions, Manga Bay reports. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said Wednesday that the Trump administration is continuing to do everything that we can to help the people of Puerto Rico, and announced that Gov. Ricardo Rossello will at the White House tomorrow. Gov. Rossello said his visit is time to press the Senate to quickly pass the $4.9 billion relief package that's been proposed. Time is of the essence and we need quick action, he said. If we are not considered in equal terms to Florida, the Virgin Islands, Texas and so forth, Congress will have to deal with a worsened humanitarian crisis, massive exodus from the island, healthcare problems and more. Celebrity chef Jose Andres launched a relief effort, Chef for Puerto Rico, through his non-profit World Central Kitchen. Together, Andres, his team and hundreds of volunteers have served more meals on the island than the Red Cross. When we go to a place, we take care of the place until we feel it has the right conditions to sustain itself. That's what a relief organization should be, said Andres. The latest on what we know from Puerto Rico, FEMA and the PR government site boots on the ground. More than 20,000 federal civilian personnel and military service members, including more than 1,700 FEMA personnel, are on the ground in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. State help: 31 U.S. states are helping in PR, and 20 in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Electricity: 19% of the island has power, up from 14% Monday. Roughly 46% of cell towers have been restored. Food: approximately 90% of grocery stores are open, 410 of 456. Gas: roughly 79% of retail gas stations are operational, 873 of 1,100. Shelter: 4,702 people remain in shelters across the island, down from 5,037 Monday. 100 shelters are open and operating. Transportation: only 392 miles of Puerto Rico's 5,073 miles of roads are open. All commercial airports and federally maintained ports are open, some with restrictions. Water and waste: approximately 72% of Puerto Rico Aqueduct and Sewer Authority (PRASA) customers have potable water. 56% of wastewater treatment plants are working on generator power, the same as Friday. Medical care: 95%, 6,467 hospitals are open, down from 97% Friday. Many remain on backup power systems, and are without air conditioning, 95%, 4,648. Of dialysis centers are open, the same as Friday. Banks: 65% of bank branches, 203 of 314 are open and operating. Go deeper: Puerto Rico Mayor Javier Garcia Perez delivers food and finds desperation. CNN: Puerto Rico faces a demographic disaster. Washington Post: FEMA chief blamed for Katrina response says same problems are happening in PR time. This post is being updated with the latest information on the Puerto Rico recovery efforts. Sarah Sanders said in today's White House press briefing that Chief of Staff John Kelly is disgusted and frustrated by the way his son's death has become politicized. Why it matters: it was President Trump who first mentioned Kelly's son, when he told Brian Kilmeade on Fox News Radio to ask Jen Kelly if he ever got a call from President Obama after his son was killed in Afghanistan in 2010. DeepMind's latest iteration of AlphaGo, the artificial intelligence that beat world champion Go player Lee Sedol in 2016, can learn to play the ancient game without feedback from humans or data on their past plays, researchers report today in Nature. Instead, the new AlphaGo Zero started with just knowledge of the rules and learned from the success of 1 million random moves it made against itself. The score after 3 days of training, the AI beat the original AlphaGo 100-0, and was also able to create new moves in the process. This demonstrates a decades-old idea called reinforcement learning, suggesting that AIs based on reinforcement learning can perform much better than those that rely on human expertise, writes computer scientist Satinder Singh in his accompanying article. What it means if AI can utilize reinforcement learning, that could be important in cases where large amounts of human expertise isn't available. But, it isn't clear how much this strategy will generalize to other applications and problems, says the University of Washington's Pedro Domingos. Go, though more complex than chess, offers a problem with defined rules unlike a busy street with unpredictable pedestrians and ambiguous shadows that a robot-controlled car might operate in. What's new? AlphaGo's initial iteration was trained on a database of human Go games, whereas the newer AlphaGo Zero's artificial neural networks use the current state of the game as input. Through trial and error and feedback in the form of winning, the AI learned how to play. It then used that same network to choose its next move, whereas AlphaGo used a separate network. This reinforcement learning strategy, which was used extensively by AlphaGo as well, has its roots in psychology. The neural network learns from rewards like humans do. The DeepMind researchers wrote the self-learned player performed much better overall, defeating the human-trained player within the first 24 hours of training. This suggests that AlphaGo Zero may be learning a strategy that is qualitatively different to human play. How they did it? AlphaGo Zero uses less computing power than earlier versions, but Google's immense computing power was still key. The sheer number of games the AI can play against itself is an advance, says Domingos, who is the author of a book called The Master Algorithm. He points out, though, that the roughly 5 million training games of self-play it took for AlphaGo Zero to beat AlphaGo is vastly more than the number of games Sedol had played to become a champion. Recent work suggests simpler forms of learning could achieve similar goals. A paper published earlier this year by OpenAI showed how a technique similar to hill climbing, in which the AI basically starts with a solution then makes small tweaks to optimize it, can solve Atari games, albeit simpler than Go. On Trump's calls to Gold Star families, the president has made contact with all individuals presented to him by the White House Military Office, Sanders said. Trump's proof of the contents of his call to Gold Star widow Maisha Johnson, disputed by Rep. Wilson, is the fact that staffers including John Kelly were present in the room when he made the call. Kelly thought the call was respectful. Rep. Wilson is disgusting for politicizing the call, Sanders said. Note: Johnson has corroborated Wilson's account. Sanders did not deny that Trump, at some point during the call to Johnson's family, said the soldier knew what he signed up for. On NAFTA negotiations, NAFTA is not dead yet, but Trump has said it's a bad deal. Gov. Ricardo Rossello of Puerto Rico will visit the White House tomorrow. On the liberation of Raqqa, it is clear that ISIS's so-called caliphate is crumbling across Iraq and Syria. On Mnuchin's comment that it's difficult not to give tax cuts to the wealthy, that's not the focus of Trump's tax plan. On banning bump stocks, the ATF is reviewing bump stocks. There is no policy decision yet. NFL chief Roger Goodell held a press conference Wednesday to address the ongoing political feud that has broken out as a result of players taking a knee during the national anthem, something President Trump has repeatedly condemned as disrespectful to the flag. We believe everyone should stand for the national anthem. That's an important part of our policy. We have about a half a dozen players that are protesting. We're going to continue to work to try to put that at zero. We're not afraid of the tough conversations. That's what we're having with our players. The big picture, Goodell also said, we're not looking to get into politics. That ship appears to have sailed. Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto told El Economista that Mexico and Canada will continue to participate in NAFTA under bilateral terms even if the U.S. pulls out of it. Trade with the U.S. will continue and be governed by the World Trade Organization's general guidelines, he said. The big picture: Mexico and Canada say they will reject the Trump administration's hardline demands on NAFTA, and Peña Nieto is saying they have a plan B if Trump won't agree to something they can live with. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC, along with 10 other countries including Russia, are leaning towards extending an oil supply cut for another 9 months, according to a Reuters report. Why it matters: the deal, which was extended previously in May, planned to cut oil supply by around 1.8 million barrels daily until early 2018 in order to return oil stock levels to the 5-year average, which has not yet been accomplished. The purpose is to raise global prices, which have taken a hit due to excess supply. What to watch for next: OPEC and allies could meet in early 2018 if a decision isn't reached this November, Reuters reports.